Welcome back to another video. Today's topic is going to be talking about AI. It's crazy how AI is getting the attention off of, news stations and stuff. And, they're going over the Brad Pitt versus Tom Cruise fight. And I never really seen myself just watching people on the news, like national news, talking about like, damn, like this could be trouble for Hollywood. What's next for Hollywood? And, the fight scene itself looks pretty realistic. It looks something relevant towards today. I'm like, Sora 2.0, the one from last year, wasn't as convincing as it should have been. It had, it was cool, but then it was unnatural for some things. You can tell by the way how they would talk, and AI would have like, Sora 2.0 would have like a lot of pauses, or they'll talk too fast. Like they'll talk like this. They'll be like, "So what's going on today? What do you guys what do you guys want to do? What do you guys want to be? What do you guys want to see?" It's like, there's no natural pauses in the conversation. Not like, "What do you guys want to do today?" There's something going on at the movies. Would you guys want to go to the movies? Something natural. I bet you in both them bitches I sound like AI, but yeah, it just wasn't convincing enough. But then this came out. This was made by China. Some guy in China. Chinese company and stuff. And yeah, so it's pretty realistic. I mean, the lighting, the effects. I mean, if you've seen it, it looks something off of like Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. It looks like something off of Mission Impossible. But then the context, the news cast, the people, they weren't really going in context. They was just showing the scene. But then if you really look at the context of the scene, if you hear the audio, was it Brad Pitt? He was saying how they was fighting, like, Epstein was a good guy. You shouldn't have killed him. And then like, Tom Cruise was like, no, we had to put him down. And it was just something crazy. And that shit is getting a lot of legal issues and implications and stuff like that. And just Hollywood is not really pleased with what's going on of the situation. So they're just trying to like figure out like how is this going to affect movies, because the movie industry right now, it's kind of in a bad spot. But of course, they're trying to figure out ways to improve the quality of movies. But we got to wait and see how that is, because a lot of movies now has just been remakes, rehash, same thing. Forcing the agenda upon like characters and stuff like that. Just we've been getting that shit since the 2010s. I say mid 2010s. We've been getting a lot of that propaganda, and a lot of movie franchises. Like Star Wars and Marvel, and just comedies and stuff in general has been just less enjoyable as of course through time. And it's just like, going to the movies wasn't really the same as it used to be. It's like one of those things where you would go and then you would kind of see like them doing the same thing over and over again, saying the same message, trying to force this agenda upon the viewership. And it's like forced, like I remember somebody did comparisons, like having like, you see this on Netflix too, like them having Black Vikings, because it's like the quota, but it's not historically accurate. And it takes you out of the takes you out of the scene. Excuse me, it takes you out of the scene. And it's like one of those things where you watch it like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. They just add that. It takes you out the immersion, and it's just like it's not historically accurate. But because the writer that was making this, once you have a self insert, they would just threw this shit in because oh, it's fitting, and I like how it looks. Like everything is fine. When in actuality, hell no, it's not fine. I think it's very inappropriate that they put stuff like that into films and expect us to kind of like, it's just rewriting history and making things inaccurate as it should be, when back then, I'll say filmmaking in the 1990s and just the 20th century was all about authenticity, and just making a film that has a solid story, solid structure. And yes, of course, it wasn't all perfect. Not every film didn't have, like capitalism and all that stuff. But it was, it wasn't like how it is now, where it's like it's forced and it's very noticeable, too noticeable at times. And it's like, you watch something, it's just like, dude, why are they adding all this political shit in here? Gender swapping, making characters gay, making characters bi, and it's like they force it. It's not subtle, where it's like it's one of those things where you're like, okay, like it's forced. It's like, okay, like this person is gay, but you know they're not gonna like force it out or like you know have this big ass reveal and you know have two main characters fall in love with each other that are the same you know same sex, and it's just like a lot of the things that make watching television and Hollywood movies now just unbearable. And then I've seen so many AI videos online, and you know, especially from Disney, you know, like the Pixar, but you know, they make it funny. Where you know, there was one where like this son, you know, it's crazy, and I'm pretty sure Pixar would never do this, but there's this one Pixar thing where the son was just acting like a girl. It was like this the black son, and then he was like acting all fruity, like, no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, I don't want to be a man, I want to be the bad bitch, boss babe type of bitch, you know, and he was saying all kind of stuff, and then and they put him through like a Russian training camp, and then now the dad abducted the kid, his own kid, and took him to this Russian training camp where you know you're there for 3 years and they toughen you up, and so the kid was taken up to the training camp and he was toughen up, and then the whole premise was he was wanting to get back revenge on his dad for changing him, and that shit sounds goofy, but it's a pretty interesting premise if you think about it. Like, you know, it's one of those things was like, damn, like it's like, damn, like you expect them to have a second trailer after dropping the first one, and you know, it's just something that people were kind of craving towards because you know, Hollywood now we've seen the same thing over and over again, like I stated before, and people have gotten tired of. I've gotten tired of it personally. Of course, we have you know, some great movies coming out, good movies that were, you know, dropping every here and there. A lot of good movies, you know, like recently I just saw Sinners. That was a great movie. A lot of good messages. A movie that if you want to watch twice, it's good. You know, like I mentioned before, F1, Top Gun, that came out in 2022. And it's still a lot of good movies that come out, but it's like you have to filter it out. But with AI, you don't have to filter things out no more. You can just type up a prompt, make something of yourself, make a plot or something interesting where it diverts itself away from the Hollywood stigma and make it unique and original, and people would pay to see this and watch this, because I know I would, because you know that damn fight scene with Tom Cruise and you know Brad Pitt was pretty cool. I am not gonna lie, it looks something so accurate off a Mission Impossible movie. I mean, the context is crazy, like they're talking about Jeffrey Epstein and all, you know, because Jeffrey Epstein is, you know, a topic right now everyone's talking about. Which you know, I got to do some research if I'm going to talk about it, because it's like, you know, at first I was just kind of like, I don't want to hear about, you know, something crazy like that with Jeffrey Epstein, because particularly I don't like stuff dark on the internet, like you know, Live Leak and all that stuff. You know, that's not around anymore. I've never been the person to go online to see like you know messed up stuff, and hearing with Epstein like you know having to do with kids, you know, the being kids torturing people, and I'm like, hell no, why the hell do I want to read that shit? You know, it's just like, why we want to see the files, we want to know the truth. I don't know, I'm good. There's some things I didn't need to hear that shit. I don't want to even see that shit. It's just I'm like, all right, you made your point, but you know, the Epstein files is something that you know I got to do research on if I want to talk about that. Because I don't want to be like just talking like, yeah, this sounds crazy. And you guys be like, well, what the fuck sounds crazy about it? Well, I don't know. It sounds crazy. And then like, man, I'm clicking off this nigga. You know, I'm clicking off this channel because, you know, I want to at least have facts. But, you know, it's crazy hearing, you know, them bring the fight scene brought up the Epstein files, and just hearing about the Epstein files with Trump being involved, celebrities being involved, and it's just having even Michael Jackson being involved. That's what piqued my interest. You know, I'm like, how in the hell is Michael Jackson involved into something like that? Because they say Michael Jackson was trying to protect the kids from going into Epstein Island or whatever the hell it's called, and bring them back, you know, to a Wonderland, you know, where they were safe. And, you know, just hearing that, I'm like, okay, you caught my interest. Like, you know, what's going on with all this? That's just, this shit is just weird. But, you know, it is what it is. It's just the internet for you on a daily dose. But it's crazy to see the news go over how potentially dangerous AI can be for Hollywood, and how it could put a lot of businesses, you know, out because of the quality it's putting. Because it looks legit like an action movie you'll see in theaters. Like that whole fight scene looked like the climax of an action movie. So I think that was crazy, and it shows the direction of you know, what AI can do and the capabilities of it. Of course, they can't sue you know, China, because China is its own nation. So it's like, good luck doing that shit. They got his own rules, own, you know, and basically we get everything from China. So what the fuck they gonna do? You know, I mean, of course, when people, it's just hell's gonna break loose. Oh my God, the possibilities of AI infringement, character assassinations. It's just gonna be a crazy world we live in. Crazy world we live in. But I don't want to make this video too long. Let me know what you guys think about AI in the comments. Make sure you like and subscribe and have a good day today. Thank you guys for listening. Peace.